former Navy pilot, says, "We see UFOs every day. We have encounters, and we have radar and infrared images taken by the U.S. Navy. And we also have various government officials coming out disclosing concerning UFOs. Other countries have already had disclosure. We even have triangular and pyramidal UFOs reported lately. This one here was over Italy a few days ago. And Russia, of course, crashed UFOs. And then we had the U.S. Navy tic-tac-toe encounter in 2004 off the coast of San Diego, which was released about 2-3 years ago. The Navy confirmed it, of course. This one was in the Arctic Circle. You can see this coming out of the ocean. This is going into the ocean. This one here was circular. This came out a few days ago from a 2019 U.S. drill off San Diego. And we have Eisenhower supposedly having ET contacts. And of course, Nick Pope coming out. He was a specialist in the UK concerning UFOs. Various recent, very strange images coming out. As we know, lately we have people very keen watching the skies and uploading images and videos concerning what they see. Now, this is by Joe Martino on Humans Are Free. The UFO subject has gained a lot of momentum in recent years, so much so that in 2020, former President Donald Trump signed a bill that would call on the Director of National Intelligence and the Secretary of Defense to produce a report detailing everything the government knows about unidentified flying objects, also known as unidentified aerial phenomenon or anomalous aerial vehicles. Kindly support my Patreon account since YouTube has again demonetized my YouTube channel. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below. Now, we have a disclosure report coming out supposedly in a few days on June 1st. This is according to John Radcliffe, and he says he will comment on that material when it first comes out. Now, interestingly, in the bill by Trump, this request was laid out under the subheading Advanced Aerial Threats, suggesting the government sees these objects as a national defense issue. Threats, even when long-time researchers have pointed out that most declassified documents and whistleblower accounts point to these objects performing evasive maneuver, signaling a non-threatening situation. It may be non-threatening to begin with, but we don't know what these things, where they're from, who's behind them. So it could be, threat later, who knows? Now, as time has gone on, anticipation about what would be released by the U.S. government in this initial drop has grown as more and more mainstream media outlets begin to task journalists with exploring this subject more openly. Interestingly, stories have been emerging that increase public awareness further, but sometimes these stories truly shake up the story we receive from the government. It's not that what is being said is not true. It's that to those that have spent time exploring this subject credibly for years, the stories we are hearing are painting a picture that government has essentially just not been able to gain accurate intel about UFOs up until recently, and that simply does not make sense. The Pentagon has gone from strict public denial of UFOs, including ridiculing the subject, to now admitting it, with the story changing almost every 6 months. So is the Pentagon really begrudgingly admitting something they don't want to admit, or is there another game at play? In a recent 60 Minutes episode, Lieutenant Ryan Graves, a former Navy pilot, is describing his experience having seen these objects over the course of his career. To Graves and the Navy in general, UFOs are considered a security risk. In the clip, Graves refers to how often they have seen UFOs, and you can hear the 60 Minutes interview with Bill Whitaker say, "Wait a minute, every day for the past couple of years?" As if he's confused, and he should be. For decades, we've been told in mainstream conjecture that UFOs are nothing more than weather balloons and to not pay attention. But Graves says that they've been seeing them every day for the last couple of years. Now, in recent years, the government has alluded to some rare footage of UFOs captured on in-flight instruments, but now all of a sudden we hear that these events have been happening every day. And this is the transcript of the video outlining a few key takeaways from the interview. Bill Whitaker, you're seeing it both in the radar and with infrared, and that tells you that there is something out there. Ryan Graves says pretty hard to spoof that. The photographs were taken in 2019 in the same area. The Pentagon confirms these images are of objects it cannot identify. Lieutenant Graves told us pilots training off the Atlantic coast see things like that all the time, as well as the West Coast. And Ryan Graves says every day for the last at least a couple of years. Bill Whitaker says, wait a minute, every day for a couple of years? Ryan Graves says, When I hear every day for at least a couple of years, I can't help but think, if this indeed has been happening this frequently every day for the last couple of years, for that long, perhaps longer, why are we only hearing about this now? Why has it gone from these sightings are rare, we don't really know much about them, to we are seeing these every day? Can we really believe what is being told to us? That perhaps the government, could we believe that the government doesn't know what they are? It's, as is often claimed, when they have that frequent experience with them. This is a rather very strange idea. Now look at the wonder and excitement on the face of Ryan in the interview. Does he seem scared or worried? Does it seem he's dealing with a threat? No, he seems curious and fascinated. Likewise, when we hear every day for at least a couple of years, don't you think something would have happened by now if it was malevolent? So it says here, I've spoken to constitutional and public interest lawyer Daniel P. Sheenan on a number of occasions. He has made it quite clear to me that from his perspective and interactions with high-level officials, no one is really seeing this as a threat. Yet that is a story that comes out to the public. So why does the version of disclosure we're getting paint government in an innocent light when the deception coming from them it's almost been for the past 100 years? Can we speculate on this? We can speculate on this all day, but one thing seems clear, that some governments are not going to tell us all they know about the subject, and we should not expect them to. Inquiry into the subject will have to be done another way. Frankly, there's a lot more sightings than have been made public. Some of those have been declassified. And when we talk about sightings, we're talking about objects that have been seen by Navy and Air Force pilots or have been picked up by satellite imagery and infrared, as we know, and that frankly engage in actions that are difficult to explain, movements that are hard to replicate, that we don't have the technology for, or they're traveling at hyperspeeds that exceed the sound barrier without a sonic boom. This is what Trump's former intelligence director John Ratcliffe says, and John Ratcliffe said that he will come out once the Department of Defense has the disclosure on these things, and he will comment on what he knows about what will be disclosed. So you can dive deeper and research on your own, and we'll have to be patient to see what comes out in the next 2 weeks or so concerning these unidentified aerial phenomena or UFOs. Very interesting. Now, there are some people that archaeologists, anthropologists, historians that believe that they could be leftovers from Atlantean civilizations and their really advanced ancient technology. So please leave your comments, tell me what you think, and thank you for your support.